Hey honey buns, and what is up? Today we are going to be finger crocheting a blanket. It is cold outside and we need to stay warm. Let's get started. Honeybuntv.
Spend this money, gorgeous, all on you, girl.
Hey honey buns, now I went to Joann's to get my yarn, which is the Bernat kind. I got me 3 big balls, and everything you're going to need is going to be in the description box below, so don't even worry about that. Now we are going to be finger crocheting today, so you are not going to be needing a crocheting needle, but what you will need is some scissors as well as some measuring tape. Now if you don't live close to a Joann's, Michael's also sells big Bernat yarn and Wallet World, aka Walmart. Now getting started, we are just going to pop the paper around them and then start with the first one that we want to use. Now I want to start with the multicolored one, and I'm just going to unravel it a little bit so I won't have to keep unraveling so close to the starting point. Okay, now if you want your blanket to be bigger than 30 by 30 inches and you want it like a 60 or 80 or however, you're going to need more than 3 big Bernat chunky balls. Okay, you are going to need maybe about 6 and or 7. This blanket I could just literally throw over myself and over my top shoulder, which is not too much. Now there's multiple ways you can start this. This way was easier for me as to starting a knot, and I know I did that kind of fast, but I'm going to do it again because regardless, one thing you need to know is to leave kind of a little hole and or room so you can pull the rest of the knots through, and it will create that braided type of look. So I'm going to have my piece in my left hand and my right hand, and I'm just going to bring it over to create that circle, and I'm gonna push that knot, that end piece, through and pull it a little while my finger is still in the middle to create that circle that I can push the knot through. So here's me doing it one more time. I'm just wrapping it around and pushing that end piece through the little circle, okay, and making a space for the next knot. Again, you are going to take your pieces, roll it over, and you're going to take that end piece and push it through the circle. Now this took me a couple times. Now if I could get it, so can you. Just take your time. Okay, so now with creating the chain, remember I said you are going to have like a little hole from that knot. You can see my fingers going through, and I slowed it down just for you guys. In my left hand, you notice how I have the long line connecting still to the ball. You are just going to take one piece and pull it through. You're going to take another piece and pull it through. And you're going to keep doing that motion until you get to your desired length. I am just finishing up this last chain before we start our second row. And just a tip, leave your measuring tape flat out when you do this, just so you won't have to keep putting your measuring tape down, putting it up, putting it down, putting it up. You can literally lay your chain down against it. And after you do the first row, you really won't need a measuring tape or anything else after that. So now that we are getting ready to do our second row, the last hole, which you can see my right hand here going through, is where you are going to start the second row. So you can see me getting ready to pull it through. And when I pull it through, I'm just going to push it through in a top motion instead of a straight motion. So as you can see, I went through the top way instead of going through the straight way. So once I do that, I'm just going to take the yarn again and go through the next little whole side piece that we have here. So I'm just sticking it up under the little pieces, well, the little braid chains, and pulling them through. And then I'm just going to follow suit for the first row, and to do row 3, row 4, row 5, and so on and so forth. It is literally the same thing. And you're just going to take your time. You don't want to pull your yarn too hard through. You want to give it just a little breather so it can have plenty of space for the ends when it comes to wrapping it up. Okay, so now that I got to my third row, literally at the ends, it is the same way that we did the second row. You are just going to pull that yarn through the loops. So I'm going to go ahead and get to the halfway point, and then we're going to come back. This is what it looks like halfway. Like I said, this is not a really big blanket, but well, I want to say this is like 1/4 the way, okay? And now we got to the ends of our yarn ball, but we need to add another ball on to continue. So for me, what I do is legitimately make a knot, and I just push it through the loop as regular because now it's connected, and I just go on with doing the same pattern that I was doing when I first started. And this is what it looks like pulling through with the blue. Now I'm gonna finish the blue up, and then I'm gonna come back with my last ball. Okay, we've gotten to the last ball, so we are going to do the same thing, make that knot, and push the yarn through the loops.
Trust in you. What will you do? Will you just step back? Will you duck it out?
Okay, honey buns, you're near the finish line, so here's what we're going to do. The straggly piece that I have, I'm going to try to get as many loops as I can out of it. And then with that being said, I am going to tie a regular knot. Now, as you can see, I can't get that many loops out of it. I got about at least 2 or 3, so I can't get the 4th one. So I'm going to take that piece from out under there, and I'm just going to make a regular knot. Now, your scissors come in handy for cutting off any pieces that are sticking out that you can't shove under the loop area and things of that magnitude. But you just want to make sure when you do this knot, it's tight, not too tight to where the yarn piece is coming off, okay? But tight enough to hold that space, because we got to close this blanket up. After you do that, you are going to take the loops that are sticking out. I usually start at the right end, as you can see me here doing. So in my right hand is loop 1, and in my left hand is loop 2. You are going to take loop 2 and pull it through loop 1. So you're going to take one loop and pull it through the other loop. So the loop in my left hand, I'm going to pull it through the loop in my right hand, and I'm just going to continuously do that over and over again. Now, when you come to the end, this is what it should look like, but you will also have 2 loops, obviously, that are not looped up. And what you can do is you can take loop number 2 and pull it through loop number 1, and or I have an obsession with knots. I don't even know what it is. You could just tie a knot, okay? You can just tie a knot and shove the little pieces that are sticking out that you can't push under there and cut them off. But this is how you can do this, and or you can loop it over and then tie a knot. But either or, you need to tie a knot because you don't want this blanket coming out of place. So after that, I am going to finish it off and cut anything that is sticking out in my straggly pieces. And baby, this is how it should come looking out. See you, honey buns, on Honey Bun TV next week. Mwah.